When do we want it? When do we want it?
Stop culture genocide! Stop killing! Stop culture genocide! Stop killing! Who's the killer? Who's the killer? Who's the butcher? Who's the butcher? China, China, China! 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 Free! Tibet! Tibet! Tibetans! 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 Dalai Lama! Dalai Lama!
Tibetan dies! Tibetan dies! Tibetan dies! In Tibet! In Tibet!
Stop culture genocide!
In Tibet!
In Tibet!
In Tibet!
In Tibet! What do we want?
We want freedom!
What do we want?
We want freedom!
Thank you everyone, and thank you to Norzen for leading that. Before we start, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the Awakabo and Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional custodians of the land and water we are on today. And I pay my respects to the elders of the First Nation, past, present, and emerging. We have gathered here today to commemorate the 66th anniversary of the Tibetan uprising day, which happened on the 10th of March 1959. Hundreds of thousands of Tibetans stood outside the Potala Palace, defending the Dalai Lama from the Chinese Communist Party, as they were brutally massacred by hundreds of thousands of bullets from machine guns. We stand here today because we want to honor those people. We want to make their sacrifices not be in vain. So we, the Tibetans, are here to protest and to show the world that we are here. Now, for our first speech of the day, I'd like to invite Mr. Chodak La, the Secretary of Tibetan Community of Victoria, who will be talking to everyone in Tibetan. So everyone, please welcome Mr. Chodak. Next is a dear friend of mine and a great person named Tenzin Norzen. who is the national coordinator for the VTAG group, or the Voluntary Tibetan Advocacy Group, who will be coming here to read a statement from VTAG for the 66th Tibetan Uprising Day. So, everyone, please welcome my dear friend Tenzin Orza.
Hello. Hello. Today, as we mark the 66th anniversary of the Tibetan National Uprising Day, we reflect on the profound courage, unwavering resilience, and unbreakable spirit of the Tibetan people. On March 10, 1959, Tibetans across all three provinces rose in unity against the illegal occupation of Tibet and the brutal repression of their culture, religion, and basic human rights. This day is a solemn reminder of the sacrifices made by our brave ancestors and the continuous struggles of Tibetans today, who endure immense suffering under the Chinese government's ongoing policies of oppression and control. Tibetan culture, language, and identity are intricately linked to Buddhism, a cornerstone of Tibetan life. However,
next, I'd like to request that our chief guest speaker, Mr. Tim Reed, member of the Brunswick and Secretary of the Victoria Parliament Friends of Tibet, to here to address this gathering. So everyone, please welcome our dear guest, Mr. Tim Reed.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank VTAG for inviting me and for the welcome. And I realise that you're addressing your comments in this direction, but I want to just briefly talk to you, the Tibetan people in Victoria and your allies and supporters who've assembled here today. This is a respectable crowd, and when I was walking, I got dropped off, and I was walking up from Elizabeth Street. I could pretty much hear you almost from Elizabeth Street, so you're making your mark. And before I go any further, I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners, the Wurundjeri people, and to pay respects to their elders, and to point out that it's really, sorry, bit of feedback there, really important that we don't forget the traditional cultures that were here before we got here. And that is a message that I think the Chinese government could also learn. So I'm going to turn my back to you because I think that's what you're after, and continue addressing the crowd. But it's really important that Australians, and particularly members of both federal and state parliaments, remember what happened in Tibet in the 1950s. Both the events leading up to the uprising in 1959 and the events that have followed. Because what we saw is something that's happened throughout history.
And at the same time, I also want to thank our home strong, because when I'm doing the VTAG 제보디 평당도 먼저 고리지어야 되니 니모나 되어요라 모나 그것도 되어진 방아 니로 평당도 이 선수 VTAG 고리시니 로파티스 나로스다 팅겨슈르스달라니 뭐기니 팀리케 당아이 바이너리 먼저나 니 자람디조 그 팅겨 부조지로 로파치와이너리 지림디로 다 강자모레 기페 인카판 도시남 그래 차로 쉬우쉬서. And so I really want to appreciate all that you've helped, especially in the last week, so I want to present a kappa to you too.
Thank you very much, both Tim Reed and Rosa, for that. Now, I would like to invite our Mandarin speaker named Sitting Mingir, who will be talking about, who will be addressing the democratic Chinese people in Australia. So, Sitting Mingir, please come up to the stage to address his speech.
3月10日，今天的日子，西藏人民呢是忍无可忍的情况下，整个西藏的东西南北，老少男女都起来就是反抗中国的恶侵略。也就是同一天，我们西藏人民的至高无上的领袖达赖喇嘛就走上了迷惘的道路。那么59年之前的西藏的人口是什么呢？光是现在西藏自治区的范围里，西藏的人口就是350多万。那么1974年，中国政府和西藏自治区人民政府统计的数据看，当时那个时候，西藏自治区里面呢是只有120万的人口，也就是减少了230万。这是确实是非常一个灾难。中国说是解放了西藏，实际上仅仅59年到74年，西藏的人口就是减少了2/3的多。还有呢，当时西藏整个
uprising day, March 10, 1959. This is not just a historical event, it is a symbol of Tibetans' unwavering struggle for freedom, dignity, and self-determination. For 66 years, Tibetans have never ceased their fight for genuine autonomy. Despite restless repression, they have demonstrated extraordinary resilience. Tibetans in exile have preserved their culture, while those inside Tibet continue to resist in countless ways. The overseas pro-democracy movement firmly supports the Tibetan people's just causes. True autonomy means Tibetans deciding their own future, not a concession from Beijing. A democratic and free China must respect the rights of all ethnic groups and recognize Tibet.
For those who didn't know, that is Jerry Wu. Jerry Wu is a friend of Tibet and a part of the Chinese Democratic Alliance. Jerry Wu, could you please come down here one more time? I'd like to give you a kata, or an honorary scarf.
"齐聚一堂，怀着无比崇敬和庄重的心情，纪念3月10日西藏人民反抗中共暴政的伟大历史事件。1959年3月10号，西藏人民为了捍卫自己的家园、文化和信仰，挺身而出，展开了反抗暴政的斗争。"
Last but not least, I'd like to invite a dear friend of Tibet, a long-lasting friend that has protested for Tibet for more than 40 years. He is a board member of the Australia-Tibet Council that is here to address the public on behalf of the ATC and Tibetan supporters across Australia. Please welcome our dear friend, Mr. Jonathan Stephen.
Thank you for the kind invitation. I'm here to Tibetan friends and friends of Tibet. I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the land who stand, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. Today we gather to honour and remember the courage of the Tibetan people. Religion has been tightly controlled, dissent has been ruthlessly quashed, language and identity slowly and painfully erased. Today, as part of the PRC's systematic attempt to erase Tibetan culture, children are removed from their families.
I'd like to give you a kata. It's an honorary scarf. I'd like everyone to give another round of applause to Mr. Jonathan Stephen for his 40 years worth of commitment. everyone, please stand up. We're going to do some more. Vì sao mới liền làm luôn á? Vì sao mới liền làm luôn á?
Ya, chẳng rốt nào đâu.